My reactions to Week 15 of the 2024-25 NFL season, starting with Thursday Night Football, Rams at Niners. The Rams beat the Niners 12-6. This game was a real burner. But in all seriousness, both teams struggled. Deebo Samuel, after complaining the previous week, and on Twitter, on X, it's technically X, but he said that he wanted more opportunities to get the football. He had more opportunities, and what did he do? He dropped the fucking football. So he needs to keep his mouth shut. But as far as the Devondre Campbell goes, the whole Campbell situation, the way I see it, it was a selfish move, and that's why he got cut. I do not care what he's going through. In the sense that it's not that it doesn't matter. It's just your team's counting on you. Whatever personal issues you have with the coaching staff for them not giving you the starting position. First of all, you weren't going to get the starting position in the first place. It was going to Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner. And not to mention, that has nothing to do with your teammates. Your teammates didn't have anything to do with that. So, putting yourself before them, there's just no other way to put it. It's just a selfish move. And yeah, that led to him getting cut. I mean, it's one thing to quit the game before it even starts, but to do it at halftime or in the middle of the game, bro, like that's selfish. I'm sorry. There's just no other way to put it. But yeah, the Rams, great win for them. They're leading the division now as for they have the same record as the Seahawks. They're like 8-6, I think. But they have the lead in terms by way of the tiebreaker that they have over the Seahawks, considering that they already beat them. But the Niners, this was a golden opportunity for them to get back in the playoff race, and they blew it. They blew it. Technically they're not mathematically eliminated, but they're going to need a lot of help in order to make the playoffs, starting with winning out. So it's not looking good for them. Their season's on life support. Ravens are Sunday football, Sunday morning football. Ravens at Giants. Ravens destroyed the Giants 35-14, but really the score wasn't even that close. It was a 35-point game at one point, but then the Giants ended up scoring 2 straight touchdowns in garbage time, and yeah, they just got blown out in New York. The Giants just got blown out in their home stadium. They're the worst team in football record-wise. Are they? Yeah, I think they are, but they're definitely playing like they're the worst, though. I think they're the second worst, actually, behind the Raiders. Yeah, the Ravens, I still don't know what to think about them because they're plenty good enough to win the Super Bowl. Problem is they're just too damn inconsistent for me to trust. So I just don't know what to think from them. They play the Steelers, I think, next week. It should be a really tough game for both them and the Steelers. But they do have kind of the advantage considering that the game is going to be played in Baltimore, but we'll see. Bengals at Titans. Bengals beat the Titans 37-27. Offense didn't play that well for the Bengals, but the defense really stepped up, that could have had something to do with or that could have been because of Will Levis playing like absolute garbage. He threw like 3 interceptions. I think 2 of them were pick sixes. So it was just an awful game from Will Levis, which led to him getting benched. And yeah, for the Bengals, they keep their slim chances of making the playoffs alive. Um, they're not eliminated mathematically yet, but the loss to the Steelers 2 weeks ago really um, made them take a hit, basically. And now they pretty much have to win out and need to get some help from from one or two teams to make the playoffs. And just too much. Just it might be too much to ask for, and also again they don't control their own fate, so it's gonna be tough sledding for them, but we'll see what happens the rest of the way. Um, but for the Titans, yeah, just a bad showing at home. Will Levis, at times he's looked pretty good. I think his best game in his career was last year against the Falcons, where he threw 5 touchdowns. But um, yeah, he's been pretty good at times, and then other times it's like, what the fuck are you doing, Will Levis? Like it's just, it's just it's just too damn inconsistent, man. And he's becoming a meme too, or he became a meme this season with his bad plays. And yeah, I don't know what to think about the Titans. I think they might need a new quarterback. But yeah, like I said, great win for the Bengals. Fuck's sake. Chiefs at Browns. The Chiefs beat the Browns 21-7. Another bad game from Jameis Winston. He's a roller coaster. I can't remember his stats for the game, but I think he threw like two, 3 interceptions. Uh, so he ultimately got benched for DTR. Game was out of hands anyway. So, but for the Chiefs, man, this was their first game where they won by like more than one possession this year. Pretty much all their other games have been one possession. Um, it was a good win. Well, the Chiefs won the game, but they did lose Patrick Mahomes. I don't know how concerned I am because they're saying that he might not even miss the next game, which I find to be bogus, honestly. I mean, I get it. He's a competitor, so he's going to want to play on the field, obviously. But at the same time, it's like uh, sometimes you got to save the players from themselves. If he goes out there against one of the top sacking defenses in the NFL, he's going to end up potentially getting even more hurt, which is going to really compromise the rest of their season. So, we'll see. Dolphins at Texans. Dolphins beat the Texans. Or no, Texans beat the Dolphins 20-12. Dolphins had a chance to win this game, but they just couldn't get the job done. The defense really stymied the Dolphins' offense. Got to give credit to them. Texans' defense has been playing really well. Problem is for the offense, Stephon Diggs is probably out for the year, and their offensive line is god awful. So they're doing the best they can right now. Good news for them is they did get Nico Collins back a few weeks ago. So and that has definitely helped them out. But yeah, we'll see how the Texans do the rest of the way. They play the Chiefs next. But for the Dolphins, their season's on life support right now. They they could not afford to lose to the Texans, which they did. Now they need help from other teams to make the playoffs, and it's just at this point probably too much to ask for them. And the rest of the season is no longer their fate is no longer in their hands, and yeah, just a golden opportunity missed by the Dolphins, and good win for the Texans. Pretty good win. Jets at Jags. Jets beat the Jags 32-25. Um, Aaron Rodgers, the last few weeks has looked very good. Um, the Jags, but Trevor Lawrence is out for the year, and Mac Jones looked pretty good. He threw 2 touchdowns to Brian Thomas Jr. Uh, but ultimately he didn't step up when they needed him to the most. Basically, he had a few chances to win the game, but he did not step up, and as a result, the Jaguars lose to the Jets in Jacksonville. As they continue the request for Travis Hunter, um, but we'll see. Cowboys at Panthers. The Panthers came back down to earth today. Um, the last couple weeks they've played really well. But this game the Cowboys just took it to them. Um, they were taking it to them early, and the Panthers, after forcing a fumble on the Cowboys and Cooper Rush and the Cowboys, they looked like they were potentially going to get back in the game. They threw I forgot how many yards it was, but deep pass touchdown to Jalen Coker, the undrafted rookie. And that looked like they were going to seize the momentum, but they never did. It was not one of Bryce Young's best games. He did not play particularly well, and the Cowboys, great win for them. They're probably not going to make the playoffs because they're too far behind, but still great win for them and for the Panthers. Not one of their better games, and not one of the better games from Bryce Young. Commanders at Saints. Commanders beat the Saints 20-19. The Commanders, or not the Commanders, the Saints had a chance to win the game on a 2-point conversion if they succeeded, but they failed, and as a result, they ended up losing the game. Honestly, I don't really fault the Saints for going for the win in the 2-point conversion, because first of all, their record is terrible, and after a promising start to the season, and anytime you have a chance to win the game and not take the game into overtime, it'd probably be best to take it. But yeah, pretty good win for the Commanders, and their new cornerback, Marlon. I don't know why I said Marlon. His name's Marshawn Lattimore. But the former Saint, and yeah, pretty good win for the Commanders on the road. They play the Eagles next week at home. We'll see how that game goes, but yeah, pretty interesting game. Sunday afternoon football, Patriots at Cardinals. Cardinals beat the living crap out of the Patriots 30-17. Really, the game wasn't even that close. I think it was like a 3-possession game at one point. But yeah, one of the Patriots players ended up fumbling the football, or turning the ball over towards their end zone, or as they were about to get a touchdown, and ultimately the Cardinals got the ball back. It was a touchback, and yeah, just a great win, great bounce back win for the Cardinals. It just seems like they have been falling apart in the last few weeks. But for the Patriots, they also continue their search for or their pursuit of Travis Hunter, who I think they will get, but we'll see. Colts at Broncos. Broncos destroy the Colts 31-13. The game was pretty interesting. The Colts went up by like 13 to like 7. They were about to go up 19-7, which probably would have been ball game. But Jonathan Taylor pulled a Deshaun Jackson and fumbled the football at the goal line, which was a touchback, obviously. And the Broncos, after that, never looked back and proceeded to score 24 unanswered points. One of those was on a defensive touchdown from Nick Bonito, who's having a pretty good season. I think he's in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. And it wasn't one of Bo Nix's better games. He had like 2-3 interceptions, but the Broncos still won the game. It was a much needed win for them because they're trying to make the playoffs. And I think if they beat the Chargers on Thursday, which I will make my predictions as soon as I finish this video. And if they win that game, they'll I think they'll clinch a spot in the playoffs. And for the Colts, another crushing loss, as they're now 6-8, I think, with the playoffs, with their pretty much playoff hopes slipping away. Bills at Lions. Bills beat the Lions 48-42. Bills were up by 3 possessions, 17 points. Dan Campbell went for the onside kick with like 12 minutes left in the game, down by 10, which I didn't really have a problem. Well, the thing is, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't really have a problem with the onside kick. I just don't like the onside kick rules now. There's no surprises anymore because too many players were getting injured on the onside kick, which is like, it's football, man. It's a physical sport. Of course, that's going to happen. People are going to get hurt. But yeah, there's just no surprise in that anymore. The onside kick, and so I didn't really have a problem necessarily with that, but at the same time I did because you pretty much gifted them. They kicked the onside kick. The Bills recovered it, almost returned it for a touchdown. Matt Collins. They got the ball back within the 5-yard line. They got the ball within the 5-yard line, and Josh Allen was able to punch it in a few plays later, and they were up by 17 again. Again, I kind of understood it because their defense so banged up they weren't going to stop the Bills' offense anyways, so I understand. But at the same time, I don't really like it because, again, you give them the ball back within the 5-yard line. But despite all that, the Lions still had a chance to win the game. Granted, it was a very, very slim chance. If they got the onside kick, there would have only been like 12 seconds left. But the way the end of the game went, I mean, the Lions fought their asses off. Jared Goff had a great game, 5 touchdowns, 400 yards passing. They, even banged up, they almost beat the Bills. And the way the game was going towards the end of that game, I really felt like if the Lions would have gotten the ball back, there would have been a Motown miracle in favor of the Lions, but we never found out because the Bills ultimately recovered the onside kick, and yeah, great win for the Bills. They look like the best team in football right now. The Lions, they're just too banged up defensively. They're dropping like flies defensively. Unfortunately, David Montgomery is another player that got added to the injury reserve list. I think that move or that injury for the Lions, I think Jahmyr Gibbs will be able to pretty much carry the load the rest of the way. There's like 6 games left. Well, 3 games, but 6 games in total if they somehow find a way to make the Super Bowl. Hopefully they do, but we'll see, but at least 3 games. Yeah, I think that he'll be able to carry the rest of the load for the rest of the way. But defensively, that's the issue right there for the Lions. The rest of the way is, like I said, they're dropping like flies, and they cannot afford any more injuries. They're looking like a freaking ICU at this point, defensively, and it's just not looking good for them defensively. But we'll see how they do the rest of the way. I still got faith in them, but it's definitely going to be tough, especially with all those injuries on defense. But again, the Bills look like the best team in football. They've beaten the 2 best teams in football, the Chiefs and the Lions. So I got to give them credit. They look like a hell of a team and could definitely win the Super Bowl, most definitely. Bucks at Chargers. The Bucks beat the Chargers 40-17. I was not expecting that at all. Not necessarily the Bucks winning, but the way they won. But Baker Mayfield had 4 touchdowns. He had a great game, but for the Chargers, defensively they did not show up. Offensively, there's not enough weapons, especially with J.K. Dobbins out. They're a much different team without him than they are with him. Ladd McConkey came back, so that's a positive for them, but there's just not enough weapons offensively for them to truly compete. I still think they're going to make the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to make it that far without more weapons around Justin Herbert, who also got banged up towards the end of the game. So not a good thing at all. I think J.K. Dobbins is going to be back. I don't think he's out for the year, like he has been in the past. I think he'll be fine, but until then, they're gonna pretty much struggle offensively. But we'll see. And finally, for the Sunday afternoon game, Steelers at Eagles. Eagles beat the Steelers 27-13. For the Eagles, after all the drama that's been going on, everything that's been said in the media, this was kind of a big old fuck you to the media, as A.J. Brown had a touchdown and Devontae Smith had a touchdown. But the first touchdown offensively for the Eagles was to A.J. Brown, so that was definitely a big old F you to the media. But which I guess, not I guess, they did start themselves, honestly. They brought that upon themselves. Brandon Graham was pretty much saying how Jalen Hurts was battling, and A.J. Brown, it's not that he was giving up, but he just seemed frustrated, and that they didn't seem to be friends anymore. But and not to mention, the media was also saying that Jalen Hurts can't pass or throw touchdowns or throw the ball. which was proven wrong in this game. The Steelers' defense forced a few turnovers. Offensively, they couldn't do anything with it. They're just different offensively without George Pickens. I think that he needs to come back in order for them to get back to the way they were playing before this game. And I think before the last game, pretty much up until like the Cincinnati Bengals game. If they want to get back to that level offensively, they're gonna need George Pickens back, and also T.J. Watt's gonna have to come back too. I think he got banged up in the game, but the Steelers had chances offensively. They just couldn't capitalize on them, and the Eagles had one of their better games of the year, definitely. They're I don't know if they're necessarily the best team. Well, right now they're definitely. Well, I'll say this about them: they're definitely the healthiest team in the NFC. So that they could definitely make a run at it. Would not shock me at all. Hopefully they don't, because I'm hoping for my Lions, but we'll see. But great win for the Eagles. And for the Steelers, they two of their best players, George Pickens and T.J. Watt, need to come back in order for them to truly compete for a Super Bowl this year. Because without them, they're not going to be able to. They might not even win a playoff game without them, but we'll see. Sunday Night Football, Packers at Seahawks. Packers destroyed the Seahawks 30-13. Geno Smith got injured in the game. Not that the offense was really doing much with him, but they definitely weren't doing much without him. Other than like a touchdown for Zach Charbonnet. But not a good showing for the Seahawks, and for the Packers, pretty dominant win for them on the road. I don't know if I necessarily trust Matt LaFleur, but he's a pretty good coach. But we'll see how the Packers do the rest of the way and how the Seahawks do the rest of the way. But definitely not one of the better showings from the Seahawks recently, and pretty good win for the Packers. For the final two games of the week, Monday football, the Bears at Vikings. Vikings destroyed the Bears 30-12. Sam Darnold didn't have a terrible game. He didn't have a great game. He had a pretty good game. The Bears offensively couldn't do anything. A lot of that has to do with the Vikings defense, but just horrible fall off from the Bears. They started the season off 4-2, and they've lost like 8-9 straight now. So not good for them at all. Ever since the Commanders game, week 8, they have not looked the same, honestly, like at all. Their coach, Matt Eberflus, got fired. In my opinion, a little too late. He should have been fired sooner, but the Bears, despite all their talent, they're not a very good team. They haven't been a very good team since that loss, and for the Vikings, they keep pace with the Lions as they now move to 12-2, and I still think that the Lions are going to beat the Vikings in Detroit. Hopefully they do, because I'm a Lions fan, but we'll see what happens. But a very good win for the Vikings and for the Bears. They continue their losing streak after starting off 4-2. And finally, for the final game of the week, Falcons at Raiders. It was another shit game. The Raiders beat the Falcons. What am I saying, Vikings, man? They beat the Falcons 15-9. Offensively, for the Raiders, without Gardner Minshew, without Aiden O'Connell, They were down to Desmond Ridder and against his former team. He did score one touchdown in the game, which helped them get back in the game. They were down by like 9 points. 9 points. Almost made a comeback. More of that was about the Falcons choking. Kirk Cousins, I don't know what the hell has happened to him. He or have been possessed by the spirit of Nathan Peterman, because he's thrown 9, 10 interceptions, one touchdown, since I can't remember the last time they won before the Raiders game. They were on a bit of a losing streak, lost 4 straight. Good win for them, as they're able to snap that streak, but I still don't trust the Falcons. They ended up benching Kirk Cousins for Michael Penix, which it's not like it can get any worse for them, honestly. That's how bad Kirk Cousins has been playing. But Kirk Cousins. I mean, he's not an elite quarterback by any means, but he's also not one of the worst. Which is what he has been playing like the last 4 or 5 games, like one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. But the Falcons are able to snap their losing streak, and the Raiders, they're most likely going to be drafting Shedeur Sanders with the first overall pick. But we'll see. But they might need pretty much a complete overhaul, the Raiders, starting with a new quarterback, but they need to get some more talent around him, as they don't have a number one. There's just a lot of problems with the Raiders, and who do the Falcons play next? I think they play I can't remember who they play next, but they play the Giants next in Atlanta. That should be a win for them. I don't care who's playing quarterback for them, whether it's Kirk Cousins or, well, it's been confirmed that it's Michael Penix, but I think that they're gonna win the game by default because that's how bad the Giants are. But we'll see. But it was an interesting week of football, and we'll see what happens week 16. All right, I'll catch y'all on I'll catch y'all in my next video. Deuces. My predictions for week 16 of the 2024-25 NFL season. Sorry if it looks like smoke in here. It's just my heater, I think, unless a smoke alarm goes off. But Broncos Chargers, the first game of the week, Thursday Night Football. I'm going to have to go with the Broncos in this game. The Chargers are still without J.K. Dobbins. The offense has not looked good without him. Granted, it was only one game, but they got destroyed by the Buccaneers last week without J.K. Dobbins. And unless he comes back, then I got the Broncos winning this game. They were down like 13 to it felt like 19-0. I know it was 13 to like 7. It could have been 19-7. But they destroyed the Colts 31-13. They scored like 24 unanswered points. So, and I know this is a divisional game, but I'm still gonna have to go with the Broncos in this game. Texans at Chiefs. I'm going to have to go with the Texans in this game. I'm going to have to go with the Texans in this game. Chiefs are without Patrick Mahomes, even though he's going to try to play, but